My mom's a hardcore enabler. I first realized it when she said we should have a party at our house.
Have fun tonight? You ready?
She even got my dad to say
Just
okay.
lighten up a little bit.
She's so hooked on enabling that my friends think she's their buddy. She doesn't care. Why should I?
Enabling is a drug. Get help. The partnership at drugfree.org.
Welcome back to Creating Cooperative Kids. I'm your host, Bill Corbett. We parents worry a great deal about our kids getting involved in drugs and alcohol, and we have good reason to. A staggering 41.5% of Connecticut public high school students in grades 9 through 12 said they had consumed alcohol in the last month, and 27.8% said they were given or offered drugs at school in the last month. My next guest says there are simple things that parents can be doing every day to help lower that percentage. Jill Spinetti is the president and CEO of the Governor's Prevention Partnership of Connecticut, a not-for-profit partnership between state government and business leaders, working to keep Connecticut's youth safe, successful, and drug-free. Welcome to the show, Jill.
Thank you, Bill.
So tell us a little bit about this organization. I think in many states we have a lot of best-kept secrets because a lot of the organizations don't have big advertising budgets, so people don't often hear about it. So that's why I wanted to take this opportunity to invite you on the show to find out what's going on behind the curtains in our state. So, want to tell me a little bit about the organization?
It's interesting you say it that way because I think it is an underutilized resource. But what we do is look at all the factors that put kids at risk in the state of Connecticut, whether it's drugs and alcohol or bullying. And then we work with groups like yours, law enforcement, educators, to give them the skills to make a difference in the lives of the child. And as you pointed out, and why we're here today, the parents have the biggest factor to play in preventing drugs and alcohol.
What kind of how do you connect to the school systems?
We work with educators and give them trainings and give them classes and give them tools, talking points so that they know how to work with the children in the health curriculum and how to set up safe schools and positive school climates.
That's really important. The school is such a big piece for our youth because they spend so much time there. That's where the peer groups begin to build and the friendships grow and break down and the bullying and a lot of things. That's right. It's really important.
Yes, and if we have schools where people are respected and children are recognized and valued, there's a better chance they're going to have good outcomes. And it actually does reduce risk of drugs and alcohol as well.
That's awesome. All right, so we're here to tell parents that there's some things that you're suggesting that they can do just about on a daily basis with their kids to help keep their kids out of that percentage that I named earlier.
Well, that's right, Bill. And the first thing I want to say is most parents say, well, they're going to drink anyway, or they're going to try drugs anyway. There's not much I can do. Where the facts are that parents are that first line of defense, and they have a really powerful role to play with their child's behavior. So I want to put that out there right away. And there's a lot they can do. And most of it's good parenting practices, which you're talking about every week on the show.
You know, what's interesting is what you just said. Parents think, oh, they're going to drink anyway. Yeah. I can't tell you the number of times that I hear that at my lectures and my workshops when I try to tell them the kids shouldn't be on Facebook and young kids shouldn't be on cell phones and that kind of thing, and they go, oh boy, what's the big deal? They're going to hear about it anyway, because I think parents are overwhelmed. They see all these other parents not doing their job, so they figure, I'm alone. Why should I even bother?
Yeah, but don't give up. That's my message to parents. Don't give up. Follow the law. Don't serve alcohol to kids. You know, that's illegal in the state of Connecticut. I think all 50 states, and probably in other parts of the world as well, do not serve alcohol to children under age 21. Be the parent, as you said. That's really, really important. So I'm a little out of order on my tips here, but locking up meds and making sure that kids do not have access to the liquor cabinet, that's really key. Because kids aren't getting drugs and alcohol from drug dealers. They're getting it from their friends. They're getting it from your home, my home, and their friends' homes.
You know, it's interesting. I think I really agree with you on that. And I think a lot of parents suffer from the halo effect. Oh, our daughter wouldn't be doing that because they're angels, they're their babies, and it's really hard for parents to see them in that way. But yet, we've got to take that extra measure to lock stuff up. And if you don't have a locking cabinet, you know what? Down at your local hardware store, you can buy a locking doorknob for under $10 and get it and install it, right?
That's right. 70% of kids get their alcohol from their own homes. So that's a big wake-up call to parents. So that's one. Another tip is to monitor child's whereabouts. And I'm talking even when they're 17, 18 years old. You know, kids that are in high school need rules, they need limits, they need to know that there's expectations in the home and there's consequences for using substances. So I tell parents to do their job again and make sure that they're knowing where their kids are at all times. And calling that other home where they're going to be at a party and find out from that parent if there's going to be alcohol at the party. And that's really unpopular. You know, 16 and 17-year-old doesn't want you to do that.
Well, I have to offer, I did that with all three of my children.
Yes.
And they would come home and say, Cindy down the road is having a party and I've been invited. And I go, great, let's go meet her family. And she'd go, oh my God. So we would drive over there a day before the party or the week before, and I'd knock on the door, and of course my daughter's 15 and 16, she's going, oh my gosh.
Yes.
She's so embarrassed. We go up to the door, we knock, and Cindy's mom comes, and I said, hi, my name is Bill Corbett, and my daughter was invited to your party. I understand there's a party Saturday. And then in that moment is my opportunity to look for red flags with the parent. And I'm telling you, 8 out of 10 times the parent says, I wish there were more parents like you.
Like you, right.
But then there's that 20% where you get a feeling like, you know, and I would ask the blunt questions like, okay, I could ask my dumb dad questions. Is there alcohol? Is there drugs? Is there going to be sex? Is there going to be chaperones? I need to know these things to make my decision whether my daughter can be at, or my son be at this party.
Yeah, well, that's great advice, and more parents should be doing that. And when we ask kids what prevents you from doing drugs and alcohol, it's usually either my parent will kill me or I don't want to disappoint my parents. You know, it's not the health reasons, it's not any other reason, but they value what you say, you know, that you care. So that's an important tip.
And I think parents are afraid to do what I did because they're afraid of alienating themselves from their kids because their kids are going to be angry with them. But I'm constantly reminding parents, you're not their friend. You have a special role. It's called a parent.
Right.
And so, you know what? They're going to be mad at you because you have an important job to do to keep them safe.
Well, that's exactly right. And there's so many parents that I talk to in the business that I'm in that have lost children to drugs, or children are in rehab now, and they say, if only when he was 15 and he was smoking marijuana, if I jumped in, if only I had done something when he took that first drink, we wouldn't be down the road now. So again, it's very unpopular, but let's do it as parents.
So the Governor's Prevention Partnership, how do you, these are really important tips that you're giving. How do you get those out into the community?
Well, we do a lot with public service announcements. So we work with media outlets like Cox and many others to make sure that the ads are run on the TV and through the media. We have a lot of resources online. Drugfree.org is a great one that I would suggest to you and your viewers. Every type of information there for parents on how to have a conversation with their kids, what the substances are. You mentioned a few at the beginning, but there's many, many more that put kids at risk of drugs and alcohol. So really getting the word out, and then doing speaking engagements as well.
So parents could actually go to your website and get some of these tips?
Oh, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
And get the help they need?
That's correct. Go right to the website. There's a parent resource center there. And if we have time, there's one more thing I want to mention,
Yeah, one
Bill.
more quick one.
I'd like parents to think about monitoring their children's health once a year. So maybe it's on the birthday, they're 14 or they're 15 years old. Take a check and look at what their mental health is like. If they're depressed, if they're anxious, they're more likely to use drugs and alcohol. And really use that as a time to check in and think, what is my kid going to need for the next year? So when kids have anxiety problems or stress problems or anything like that, they're more likely to use to make themselves feel better. So sometimes parents aren't looking at what the individual needs of their children. But it's important to do that.
And what I like what you suggested is that to do it on a regular basis, because we can easily forget these important things.
Right.
And if you set up like an anniversary, it's like what we do with changing the batteries in our fire alarms.
That's exactly
now, right?
right.
Remember.
That's
Listen,
correct.
I really want to thank you for coming out and helping me educate parents, because it's an awesome organization. And if there's anything I can do to help your organization, please reach out to me. We've been running the PSAs, and I'll continue to run them on future shows. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Bill.
Appreciate it. Okay, all of you parents out there, anyone caring for children, you've been empowered with a simple list of responsibilities that will help to keep your kids alcohol and drug free. Let's all do our part to lower those statistics and keep our kids safe at home and at school. And speaking of school, my next guest has tips for parents on how to help our kids to be more successful at school. School's now in session, so you'll want to hear what she has to say. I'll be right back after this short break.